Hello and welcome to the very first ever episode of the Garter Toss podcast. I'm Sydney, your host, and I'm your go-to girl for all things weddings and culture, inspo, and down low to heaven to hold till the end of the episode, do us part. I am so excited about this. Seriously. Full transparency, I've tried to record this episode multiple times, and turns out it's very difficult to sit down and just talk to a camera and look comfortable doing it without stuttering too much. Clearly. I tried to record an episode earlier today, and I sweat through my shirt because it's hot, and I'm just nervous. I sweat when I get nervous, but either way, I am really, really excited to be sitting down and talking to you and to finally be getting started on the Garter Toss. This has been a very long time coming. If you know me at all, you know how much I love weddings, and I've talked about it with a couple of people, but I originally had the idea to start a wedding-focused podcast over 2 years ago now. And spoiler alert, it took me a while to get here, but now that it's happening, I couldn't be more thrilled about it and could be more excited to just jump in and get all these ideas out of my brain and into the world and to share it with y'all. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're listening, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for being here. If you're listening as I'm releasing these episodes, or if you're tuning in 6 months or a year or more from the future, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And we're going to have a lot of fun together. I have a lot of goals for the Garter Toss, and I think that there are many exciting things in store for all of us. So this is going to be a lot of fun. This episode is probably going to be a little bit on the short side, just because it's meant to be just like a shorter version, a little intro to who I am, what the Garter Toss is, why I'm doing it, a little bit of a get to know you, cute little intro episode. So yeah, just a little bit about what to expect for today. Yeah, and I'm excited to, like I said, dive right into it. So let's get started. I am Sydney, like I said. Nice to meet you. Unless I already know you, then welcome. Glad you're here. And I've worked in the wedding industry kind of randomly, one way or another, almost by accident, until it kind of led me to where I am now. Most currently, I am the writer and editor-in-chief for a bridal magazine. That's actually when I first started at that role, is kind of when I first got the idea to start a podcast, but we'll get more into that later. I've also been a bridal consultant at 2 different bridal stores. I sold wedding dresses, and I loved it. Seriously, wedding gowns for me is like the best part of weddings. Truly. I was the little girl who had the fashion stencils growing up, and I remember sitting in like 7th grade ASL class drawing and designing wedding dresses instead of doing my homework. I've just always loved wedding dresses. I've always loved gowns and fashion and design, and I really just love wedding gowns, love wedding outfits. It's the best part of weddings for me, truly. And I do miss working in a bridal shop sometimes. I won't lie, it was very, very hard. As much as I enjoyed it, it was also very hard. And I still have dreams to this day, like actually multiple times in the years since no longer being a bridal consultant, multiple times I'm like, I should just go back and like I should just do that like for fun on the side. Like, and truly it would be for fun for me because I miss being around gowns all the time. And it was so fun to help brides say yes to the dress. It's a magical thing. And I'll have dreams every now and again that I go back and get a job at a bridal store. And sometimes they're nightmares because it can be very stressful. But yeah, I do all of that to say I love wedding gowns and wedding outfits. And yeah, a little bit about my background in weddings. I also at one point worked at a floral shop who did a lot of weddings. I worked at a bakery who catered a lot of weddings, did wedding cakes. I also in college did an internship for another bridal publication in the area, which it's funny looking back now. I'm like, oh, this all kind of accidentally on purpose I was very drawn to weddings in general, clearly, and it's where I ended up, and I love being here. For me, weddings are very beautiful. It's a beautiful, joyful industry to be a part of. And I'm probably going to say it a billion times today and in every episode. Weddings are magic. And at the center of it all is love, a love story that you're celebrating, that everyone's celebrating. So whether you're planning a wedding, you're a bride, you're a groom, you're someone who's getting married, or you're a vendor and you've been a vendor for 20 years, or you've been a vendor for 2 months, or you're just like me, you just love weddings. You love talking about weddings, you love thinking about weddings, and you're not getting married anytime soon, but you still just love them. Yeah, we're in the same boat there, and it's a beautiful place to be. I always I always make the joke that I just get to look at wedding pictures all day for work, and it's really fun. And obviously, I do a lot more than that, but yeah, I just get to look at beautiful weddings all day and obsess over the most beautiful brides and flowers and details and couples, and it's so much fun, and it's a great place to be surrounded by wonderful people. And that's really kind of why I'm doing this at all, is to highlight the wonderful beauty and the love stories and the wonderful people that are here, which kind of leads me to the origin of the Garter Toss. So the idea came to me originally a little bit after I started writing for the magazine that I currently write for. And a lot of what I do for work is I get to interview a lot of people. I get to interview vendors about their businesses, about what they do, about their tips and tricks, and I get to interview brides and couples and hear about their wedding day and talk to them about their details, why they chose the colors that they did, the song that they walked down the aisle to. I love hearing about, the wedding dress shopping experience and how that went and how you knew it was the one or how you knew your partner was the one. I really just, for me, the best part about weddings, like I said, is the people and hearing the stories and getting to interact with amazing, wonderful human beings and getting to share the love, so to speak. So these interviews is where I got the idea. So when I first got hired, it's going to be 3 years this fall. And as I was hired on, they were towards the end of magazine production for that season, and the new magazine was about to come out a couple months after that. So most of the magazine at that point was already done, but as they brought me on, they were like, hey, we want you to write 7 articles for us for the new magazine, which it's so funny looking back because now I write so much more, obviously, but when you're a writer in any sense or a creative at all in any way, having your work published at all, period, is a huge deal. So to say I was freaking out is to say the least, seriously. But what they had me do to start with were these vendor editorial features. So I would go talk to these vendors, I would interview them, and then I would write an article about them. And then after that, I started doing, I remember my first ever interview with a couple who had just gotten married. Their wedding was so pretty. Her dress was gorgeous. She had a green wedding ring. And yeah, it was just so fun. And through all these experiences, sitting down and talking to these vendors and talking to this couple and everybody after that who I've talked to and interviewed since, I'm always just blown away by how incredible everyone is, especially with these vendors. Those first ones that I interviewed, I'm pretty sure all of them but one, I actually went to them in person and did the interview in person. I would go to them. For a lot of them, I went to their storefront and sat down and learned about how they started, why they do it, and why they're so passionate about it, and their amazing stories. I got to see actually what they do. Like, I went to a jewelry store and got to see how they made the jewelry. I went to a bridal shop. I went to a gown designer. It was so cool and inspiring to me. And I was like, oh, I wish that I could just take these recordings of these interviews and just show it to every bride or show it to every couple, because not only were these vendors so amazing at what they did, specifically in whatever vendor category that was, but they were just amazing people and they were so passionate. My favorite thing to ask in almost every interview I do, whether it's a vendor or a couple or whatever it is, I always ask, what's your number one piece of advice for couples or for brides who are planning a wedding? And I love hearing everybody's advice and their wisdom from it, because a lot of it is similar in some ways, but there's also really unique, interesting advice. All of this to say, through all of it, I always would think to myself, I wish I could just take this recording and post that recording online, because when I would sit down to write the articles, I was like, how can I possibly convey how amazing and incredible this person is in this 800-word article? Which isn't to like speak down on my own writing, because I do think I am a really good writer and I really enjoy it. And I'm not saying that to be like supercilious about it, but I do think that's where my talent lies, and it's a lot of fun for me. But there is something very special about hearing the advice from the person themselves, or hearing the experience of this bride from the bride herself and watching them light up about it. Seriously. So I was like, oh, I wish I could just do that. And I was like, oh, that's what a podcast is, actually. So that's kind of where the idea first started. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, this could actually be a thing. I think I could do this. And for me personally, I love listening to podcasts. I have a bunch that are my go-tos and I really enjoy them. So coming from somebody who loves and enjoys podcasts, I really wanted to be able to do that as well, and to be that enjoyment for other people, and to share this incredible, amazing stuff that I learned along the way with other people. Again, whether you're a bride or a vendor or just love weddings. So yeah, I also always say, like, whenever I meet someone who just got engaged, I always wish that I could just take all of the knowledge I've ever learned from, my years of being in the industry and just give it to the bride or give it to the couple, whoever's getting married, and just transfer it all. Because, and I always forget this too, when I'm writing, when I'm working, obviously I know more than the average person about weddings and how to plan a wedding and kind of all the ins and outs that go into that. And obviously I don't know everything, but like I said, know a little bit more than the average person probably does. And I forget that most people don't. I guess that's kind of a little bit of one of my goals in starting the Garter Toss, is I want to be able to share the knowledge, share the love, like I said. So yeah, that's a little bit about how it started. I couldn't stop thinking about it, honestly. This was 2 summers ago now. At this point, I was thinking like, okay, I could do an episode on this topic. I could talk about this aspect of dress shopping or picking your colors. I could interview wedding planners. I could interview vendors. I could interview brides. I could do listener story write-ins, which are my personal favorites of all of the episodes of the podcast that I listen to. I love story write-ins, and that alone is evergreen and effervescent when it comes to weddings. You could do bachelorette party stories, you could do bridesmaid stories, you could do groom stories, you could do vendor write-ins. They're like literally endless stories, and honestly a lot of drama. Okay, anyone who's been in or around weddings at all knows that weddings can kind of bring out the drama a little bit, and I don't want to shy away from that. When I was trying to come up with a title for this podcast, this idea that I had, I was just writing. I literally was just making a list, brainstorming ideas. And a lot of them I was like, this feels kind of like generic. Even half of them I'm sure have already been used, like the wedding wire or the bride cast. I don't know. That's just, I feel like those already exist, honestly. And I was like, okay, I want a title that conveys the energy or the vibe that I'm going for. So I was like, yeah, I want it to say, hey, this is a podcast about weddings and the industry and all things surrounding it, the ins and outs of it, etc. But I also want it to be fun and sexy and funny and a little bit provoking. So I was like, okay, what's something that is in a wedding or happens on a wedding day? Like, what's something that is kind of does that at weddings? Like, what's something that's, for lack of a better term, a little bit controversial? Not that I want my podcast to be controversial, but I do think that I'm going to have some hot takes. The guests that I interview probably are going to have some hot takes, and there are a lot of strong opinions when it comes to weddings. And that's what makes them so exciting, honestly. So when I was thinking of title ideas, I was like, oh, the Garter Toss. Like, that's a tradition, a wedding tradition that a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings about, like either very pro or very, I would never do something like that. But I feel like the Garter Toss did a good job of conveying that vibe that I was going for, to being like, hey, this is fun and it's going to be sexy and it's going to be funny and it's also going to be about weddings and it's probably going to be a little bit explicit. And like I said, I didn't want to shy away from the nitty gritty. I want to get into the deep, the dark side. Not that weddings have a dark side, but sometimes they do a little bit, while at the same time highlighting the beauty and the joy and the fun and the color schemes and the flowers and the locations and the honeymoon ideas. Like, just all of it. It's a once in a lifetime thing that is celebrated in so many different ways all over the country, all over the world, so many unique cultural traditions and historical things that we still do to this day. I just love weddings, and I wanted to talk about them all day. Clearly, I could talk about weddings all day. I'm having a podcast about it. So that's my goal. That's kind of where it started, where the title came from. So, spoiler alert, this was over 2 years ago now, and I'm just starting right now, 2 years later, 2026. And when it first started, I had the idea, I had all the brainstorming, the title ideas, the episode ideas, people I wanted to interview. I even at one point sat down and wrote a script for a whole first episode of what I wanted to talk about. I was just super excited about it, but then it came time to actually think about doing it. It was more of just this idea that would be fun for me. Yeah, I think what stopped me at the time was I was embarrassed about it. I was a little bit shy about it. I was like, girl, really? A podcast? Who do you think you are? So I got a little bit embarrassed about it. I was like, I don't want people to watch this. People I know are going to see that. And that's kind of the point, is you want people to listen and watch. But I was just embarrassed at the time. And I was kind of like, yeah, it just didn't feel like I could do it. So I kind of put it on the back burner and left it alone for a long time. And then in the past couple of months, I really don't know what it was. Something just switched inside of me. I was just like, yeah, you have to do this. I actually went to a live event for one of the podcasts that I love to listen to. I remember after the show, I was standing outside waiting for my ride to come pick me up. It was nighttime outside, and I was looking up at the marquee, and it was glowing, and it was so pretty, this gorgeous theater. And I was just standing there. I had this moment where I was like, I have to do this. I have to. It just switched in me. Suddenly, I wasn't embarrassed anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm going to post online, and I'm going to have to make videos, and I'm going to have to try and get people to listen to me. And it wasn't embarrassing anymore. I don't know what it was. Something just flipped in me, and it was not a question of whether I should or if I would. It was a question of when and how quickly can you get this done and get it started. So here we are, episode 1. I don't know however many takes this is, but yeah, that's a little bit of how it started. Since I knew I was going to do this and started actually being serious about it, and pulled up all the stuff from 2 years ago and looked at it and wrote down more ideas and changed things and started getting more ideas and getting more excited about it. I, first of all, haven't slept in what feels like months, because I literally just lay there at night and I just podcast in my head. And I have so much to say and I just can't fall asleep, or I'll just be doing the dishes, podcasting to no one. And I've been talking to myself a lot, so I probably seem like a crazy person, but to say that I'm excited to be here and excited to start this and do this is an understatement. And I'm probably going to say that a million times, but I really am so excited. Looking back and having taken 2 years to do this, I do feel that now is the right time to do it. Like I said, it just feels it really feels aligned with me personally, and the timing feels really right. If I had started 2 years ago and tried to do it 2 years ago, I don't know that it would have been what I wanted it to be or needed it to be. And I don't know if I would have stuck with it, which, you never know, because you can't change the past and you can't really speak to that. But I do feel very aligned with having it be right now and having the Garter Toss start right now. So we have a lot of really fun things coming. I have a lot of fun episode ideas. I already have people that I really want to interview that I'm excited about. Like I said, I do want to do the story write-ins. And yeah, I have some really fun things in store. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Which leads me to why. Why do a podcast at all? Why start a wedding podcast? Why am I doing this? And there are a lot of reasons, but for me, there are 2 main reasons. The first one being selfishly for me and for my voice, in the sense of it's always been a goal of mine to be better at speaking in general, to speak more clearly and succinctly and be able to articulate my thoughts and my feelings very well. I'm a very emotional person, and so sometimes I struggle that I can't really articulate or explain how I'm feeling. So in the sense of I want to express my voice and be good at it and be good at speaking, and in the sense of I want to just express myself, period. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings and opinions, and I want to share them and express them and express myself. That is something I really value, and it's something that I don't always do and that I'm not always good at. So, obviously, it's going to take a lot of practice. And as I do this, I'm going to be learning and growing a lot and changing a lot as the podcast grows and changes with me. So, for me, that's kind of the first main reason. And the second reason of why start a podcast, why start a wedding podcast, is because my main life philosophy is to put more good into the world, is how I phrase it, to have a net positive on my existence or on one interaction with a person that I talk to. And when I was little, I was convinced that I had to change the world. I was on my shoulders. I had to change the world. And obviously, that's changed a little bit since I was a very little girl in elementary school. And I know you're probably like, girl, this is a wedding podcast. Like, you know, change the world with a wedding podcast? Not necessarily. I'm not going to be, president of the United States someday. I guess never say never. But for me, it's just if I can make someone smile or make someone laugh and leave someone having been uplifted after listening to this podcast or having a conversation with someone, if I can make someone stay better in any way possible, I will have done my job. And in the sense of a podcast about weddings, if a bride is listening and I give really good advice for wedding planning and it really helps her, or a vendor's listening and they realize that they're not alone in feeling the way that they do or having the experiences that they are, or like I said, if anyone can listen and smile or have a good time, then I'll have done what I set out to do. And that's important to me. I'm excited about this because I want to be able to create a community where we can bask in the love and have fun together. I really do want this to be funny and enjoyable. So, for all of us. So yeah, that's my why, so to speak. Like I said, I have some really big plans, episode ideas, people I want to interview. I also think it would be so fun someday if it's possible to do events and to do other stuff along those lines. I think it could be so fun. Also, at the end of the day, it's really, really important to me that I am authentic. It's important to myself and my own soul that I am being my most authentic self and that I can be authentic around other people and encourage other people to be authentic. Like if I interview people and I have guests on the show, I also want them to feel comfortable and I want them to feel like they can be authentic. And this is probably, I have it labeled as explicit because I feel like the more I come out of my shell, the more of a, mouth of a sailor I'm going to have, because that's how I normally talk in real life. And I want other people to feel like they can also say whatever they want and express their opinions and be authentic. Yeah, so that's a big part of it for me too, is that authenticity is always my goal in anything, and especially in something like this. So thank you for bearing with me as like I said, come out of my shell a little bit and learn how to speak more confidently. Weddings and the wedding industry and bridal industry and all of the above is such a unique place to be, because I really don't think there's anything like it that fully encapsulates. It's beautiful. It is a creative industry for a lot of people, florists, cake artists, designers. It's just endlessly beautiful and creative. And every single wedding, and I mean this with my whole heart, every single wedding is wonderful. Whether your budget is $100,000 or $1,000, because like I said, it's a celebration of a love story at the end of the day, and everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves to celebrate their love, no matter who you are. And I feel really strongly about that, and I want to be able to encapsulate that in every episode. It's a beautiful, wonderful place to be, and I'm excited to share it with all of you. This is going to be a lot of fun. No matter who you are, vendor, if you've been a vendor for 20 years or 2 months, or if you are planning a wedding, or if you've been married for 20 years, or if you're not married and you're single and you're probably not going to get married for a long time, you're allowed to be here, seriously. And I want it to be a lot of fun. This is going to be about weddings and wedding culture, but it's also going to be about other things, about whatever I feel like sharing in the moment. So I always I think to myself, oh, it's going to be about weddings and stuff, but mostly wedding stuff. Yeah, that's where we're at. A little bit more about me, I guess, to get to know me as your lovely host. My favorite color is light blue, clearly, because I'm wearing a light blue shirt. I, in my opinion, make the best honey cinnamon latte in the world, and I look forward to it every day, truly. I have yet to find a coffee shop, at least where I am located, that I like more than my own homemade honey cinnamon latte. So if you ever want me to make you one, I got you. I will make it for you. I am a Cancer sun, Aquarius moon, and Capricorn rising, for those who are interested. I like to read, run, write, clearly. I also like baking and cooking lately. I recently made, they're sitting over there on my kitchen counter, these strawberry cinnamon roll things, and they're ginormous, but they're really good. And sometimes I just get the inkling to bake, I'll go a while without doing anything, and then suddenly I'm like, I'm making cinnamon rolls today. So yeah, a little bit about me. Here's what to expect in the coming episodes in the weeks and months moving forward. I am planning on doing an episode about the history of wedding traditions, including, but not limited to, the Garter Toss, why we do it, where it came from, how it started. Also other traditions like, why the bride wears a veil, why we can't see the bride before the wedding, why you wear white, or just kind of the history behind traditions like that. And I do know the history behind some of them already, but not all of them. And I am really excited to learn more along with all of you. I actually don't know, as of right now, where the Garter Toss came from and why we do it. So I'm excited to learn that and talk about it. I also want to do an episode on a lot of the current wedding trends I'm loving, because that's always changing and it's always growing. So I do want to talk about trends I'm loving, people in the industry that I love to follow, whether it's like a wedding influencer or a brand or a designer. So I'm excited about that one. I also have, of course, people I'm really excited to talk to and reach out to have on as guests. Oh, I really want to do an episode soon about wedding dress shopping, because obviously that's where I started, or that I worked at a bridal store for a while, and I learned a lot in those experiences, and I want to be able to talk about that experience for other brides who are starting and going into it, because yeah, like I said, not a lot of people go into wedding planning kind of really knowing what to do necessarily, how to shop for a dress, what to prepare for, etc. That's what to expect coming up. As they say, stay tuned, quite literally. Hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you like what you hear. If you want to follow along, I do have an Instagram at the Garter Toss Podcast, same as YouTube at the Garter Toss Podcast. And TikTok, it is Sydnie Clara, which is my personal, but if you search up the Garter Toss Podcast, I think it will come up as well. So yeah, go ahead and follow along there. Like I said, I am really excited, and thank you again so much for being here and for listening. It's crazy to me that there's anybody listening at all. So I will never not be grateful for you and for the fact that I get to do this. It is going to be very fun, and I look forward to doing more and to learning and growing with all of you as I learn and grow in this podcast. So that's the Garter Toss. Thank you for listening once again, and I can't wait to see you next week. I guess I need to come up with a cute little outro to say at all the ends of my episodes. I'll work on that. Okay, love you, bye!